Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, coming to you live from the 2020 NFL Scouting Combine, and it's been a great week here. It's Friday, it's the last day. Things are wrapping up here from the media perspective, but let's take a look back at the week that was here in Indy.
First they had you at corner. Obviously you played corner, then they moved you to safety, but playing corner and then playing safety, it takes a little bit of nuance, but it shows that you have good football IQ and you're versatile. How important was it for you to show that versatility this year that helped lead you to where you are today?
I mean, it helped me a lot, show that the scouts that I can play both safety and I can play corner. Be more versatile. My skill set is good.
Which one do you feel more comfortable with playing?
Corner.
What's the difference in transition that happens playing corner, having that cornerback mentality? Now you're on the back end, you got to be a little bit more patient.
Right. That's the main thing. It's patience back there in the back. It's easy going from safety to corner, but from corner to safety, that's hard.
What I liked most was your ball skills and how well you play the ball, whether it's interceptions or just playing the ball when it's in the air. You don't panic while it's in the air. Do you feel like that skill set is one of your best, or if not, which one would you say is, hey, this is my best trait?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say that's my best skill set because I'm still working on it. Still been working on it since I was a freshman. It's getting better by day. And I can say my best skill set is in the film room. How I study the film, my instincts.
When you look at La Tech and this secondary that you guys had, there's another guy that should be here as well. So you guys were excellent on the back end. How important was it to show that this year, especially with you guys having a big target on your back, one of the favorites in the conference?
Well, it was, we know what we was heading into. We had our mindset on it, Cornerbacks, they played a hell of a job. Our safeties did a hell of a job. And if it wasn't for the guys up front, we wouldn't be what we was doing this year.
For those that are not familiar with the game, which game would you point to and say, hey, check this tape out, this is the one that shows you everything I bring to the table?
I can say Marshall. Marshall had a great game. Marshall, man, a lot of tackles. Like I say Rice, I had a lot of tackles. Showed that I could come down and hit, not just covering it.
My shoulders get tended to get high sometimes, so I gotta show that I can move as a low level.
Antoine, I was at that Penn State game and it was a bad loss, but you were the only one out there playing, I thought, defensively with passion. You brought up passion. Is that something that teams spoke about specifically that game? Because you were in it, in everybody's face, trying to get guys to go, because there was a part in that game where it was a chance for you guys to turn the tables,
yeah.
But you were the only one that played hard, I thought, defensively that entire contest.
I give my, I really don't like giving up. I love it too much. I made it here. Yeah, everybody, they bring up that game because, it was a 50 loss, a loss by 50, and I'm just here to compete. I'm here to compete for all 4 quarters, and I'm ready to give my all, just for a team or just for my team. At Maryland, I gave it my all, and I'm going to keep giving it my all because, I love this sport.
Kyle, your ability to cover one-on-one was impressive down at the Senior Bowl. Was that something you wanted to showcase there as opposed to what you were able to do on film?
Oh, definitely. It's something I wanted to show, show some versatility and show that I could do a lot more than just, what they expected of me.
Kyle, you get to college, you lead the country in intercepts. How important is ball skills for you, and why was that something that had to be a part of your game playing as a undersized corner?
I feel like it was always important for me to always get my hands on the ball because, like you said, people always underestimated my size, so I had to do something to kind of, get their mind off. And that's if that's getting my hands on the ball, forcing turnovers. And in order for you to win, man, you need turnovers. You need playmakers on your defense.
I was at that Marshall game, and what impressed me the most was how you stood out on an island playing bump press. So you feel like playing press is something that's significantly underrated about your game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm one of the best cover corners in the country. I mean, when you cut on the film, you can easily see it, and I take stuff like that personal. One-on-one defense playing man to man. I take that very seriously, especially in the slot.
Now you look at playing press. There's different ways to do it: hands or pressing with your feet. What's your best press technique?
I would say feet. Feet always. Sometimes you can miss with your hands, but you can't miss with your feet. So coaches like Jeff Burrs always teach me, man, technique is always important, and to be technically sound, you need your feet.
On that tropical Bowl broadcast and saw you down there doing your thing. You go from there to the Shrine Game, so you get the Shrine Game doing your thing. How beneficial was it to play in the Tropical Bowl and then going to the Shrine Game that kind of helped you get here?
It was very beneficial. Being at the Tropical Bowl, going against different people, going against different wide receivers, different talents from all over. That was pretty much good for me, and being able to excel there got me ready for the East West Shrine Games. Coming from FIU, they always say you're not playing the right talent, you're not playing the big star names, so that was another opportunity to prove myself to make more plays, and I did that, and I ended up getting here.
Do you feel like that's frustrating because you guys had a great game against Miami? Like, man, how many more times do I have to prove myself at this position?
It is very frustrating because you feel like you can play with pretty much anybody, especially being in the corner. You always have that confidence that no matter who lines up against you, you can play. So it is frustrating, but just going out there and proving yourself kind of makes it better, make it known that I can do this, and you just prove to everybody wrong.
Now, if you had to point to a specific game, like, hey, check this game, I'll just show you everything I bring to the table, what game would that be and why?
It'd be the Miami game in my 2019 season, it'd be West Kentucky.
Why Western Kentucky? Like the Jacksons and those guys?
Yeah, that game I kind of pretty much set the tone that I was kind of here to stay. Having probably 4 PBUs and interceptions, play a gunner. So I pretty much put everything on the table. And then the Miami game the following year just followed up.
What's so great about playing at FIU?
Miami, pretty much you can't really get wrong with Miami. And just having a coach like Butch Davis, having a coach with all the knowledge, all the details, being from that Miami background and winning national championships, coming in from the NFL, from doing things, winning Super Bowls and coaching Hall of Famers, that itself brings you to that program.
Appreciate it. Good work at the Tropical Bowl. Is there anyone? What game would you point to direct people and say, hey, watch this contest, watch this matchup. This shows you everything that I bring to the table as a corner.
I would say between Clemson and Boston College game, it gives you a mixture. Shows me covering well and shows me tackling well also.
Boston College, as far as tackling is concerned, how much you want people to focus on that part of your game? Because I don't think people give you enough credit for how physical you are in the run game.
That's what I tell a lot of coaches when they ask me about my top games, because they do have that question. I've seen that question pop up multiple times about me not being willing to tackle, but just my consistency when it comes to tackling. And if you watch the film and check those games, you'll see that I'm good enough tackling for sure.
Would you gear Will away?
Definitely.
Everyone talks about DBU and they have all the different schools, but why Florida State, in your opinion, is DBU? What makes y'all so different? Because y'all do it consistently.
I just feel like we have some of the greats that have come through Florida State. We have some people there now who will be able to continue that legacy. But I feel like just with the past and with the future, you all combine it. You can see for yourself the skill set, the mentality, it's all there. So if you just go back and look at it, it'll be able to show for itself.
And where have you seen the biggest growth in your game from your freshman year to now?
I'd say just my mentality. Coming out of high school, you have a certain mentality, and it's basically everybody goes through that growing up phase, and you have to grow up. Because it becomes a man's game when you go into college, and if you don't grow up, you're gonna get beat up. So you man up, and you gotta stand up to the plate and come up and come to work every day and every game. You gotta show up.
Derek, how beneficial was it for you to play at Auburn, considering that they didn't have you married to a technique you played all across the front?
It was very beneficial. Being a Coach Steele system, we didn't really have designated positions. We played all the way from the 0 to the 5, and Coach G made sure that we were versatile enough to play in every position.
Teams talk to you about is the fact that you are a versatile defensive lineman?
Yeah, being able to be versatile. A lot of teams said they don't even scout for defensive tackles or nose guards anymore. They scout for D linemen. They want to find guys that can play position across the board.
And you showed the ability to pass rush and also stop the run. What would you say is your biggest asset as a defensive lineman?
I think just being able to knock back the line of scrimmage and create pressure that way, but also be able to play the run and create that knockback.
You're one of those guys where...
What I like about your game is you're a defensive lineman with a plan. Most guys just tend to rush it without a plan, but you have a specific idea of what you're going to do and how you're going to attack an O-lineman every snap. What goes into preparing to where you are attacking O-linemen differently each different play?
Just knowing your personnel you got around you. We had a lot of young guys, so knowing what the strengths and weaknesses were, so knowing what I can and can't do. Back in the older seasons like 2017 and maybe even 2019, we had a lot more seniors, so I had a little bit more flexibility with things I could do. But having young guys this season, just know my personnel, know what moves I want to use, practicing different moves I want to use. Knowing how I can play the run game definitely affected things. In a better way for me, I know I don't want to attack the game plan a little differently.
Because you look at the pro game and it's not a lot about technique, it's more about scheme.
Yeah.
So you gotta have to work on your technique on your own.
Yeah,
How beneficial was that at Ole Miss to work on that, knowing that you're gonna have to do that at the league level?
Well, just being able to just get in on my own and learn about football, like, you know what I'm saying, from the coaches, to have it to at least I can work it on my own was definitely crucial. Just being able to, sit down and watch film, break film down, be a pro right before I got here, helped me, transition with that. So definitely had a better aspect of that. Definitely had hey, I know the scheme so well that I can play inside the scheme how I want to, and I can do things inside the scheme the coach allowed me to do to be the best player possible. So it definitely felt like it helped.
Looking at different offensive linemen and little idiosyncrasies about their game, what are some of the things that you key on when you're scouting and watching film and say, okay, I know I can do this on game day?
Just feet, hands, they tip anything off. Some guys have tendencies, some guys don't. Guys that don't, you just got to play ball. The guys that do, you have a game plan to play. Even the guys that don't, they do. So everybody has them. We just may not know them because they're known to us. They have known to everybody else. So just stuff to watch on film, stuff to just dedicate time to film time. Stuff to really just, dive into the playbook, see what you can do within this game to, best attack the player.
Last time we talked, it was at the Shrine game, and you had a great week there. Fast forward to now, what was that process like at the Shrine game, and what work have you been putting in since then to prepare for the Combine?
The process, it was basically like a grind mentality. You had to just get it, man. But I feel like I did a great job there. Waiting to the Senior Bowl did a great job there. Now it's time to just finish up the tour, honestly. I feel like I'm on tour right now, so this is my mindset right now. Just make sure I do what I need to do here now.
What was some of the feedback you got from both the Shrine and Senior? Because you got the call up, and then it was like you went out there and did your thing in the game and also throughout the practice. So you had back-to-back strong weeks on the All-Star
like
circuit.
Fall camp. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Feedback was good for me. Everybody felt like I did great. They were happy to see me out there. They were happy to see me be able to do what I was able to do. So I feel like my feedback was great.
Exos down there.
What's been the emphasis the last couple of games? Trying to improve?
Just trying to improve my 40. Shadow, all the drills we got going on in the combine. The different drills we be doing with the D-line. So just working through those drills and everything.
How frustrating is it to be able to do things? You know you can do things, but you're being asked to do something different. You talked about it earlier about people sleep on my athleticism, but maybe you were just asked to be something different. How frustrating is that for you, and how anxious are you to get out here and show people, hey, I can do this. I've always been able to do it.
Yeah, coaching at MSU, they wanted me to be a powerful guy, destructive type guy, and that's the coaching they wanted me to be. That's what the coaches wanted me to be. So I didn't get a chance to show off all the athleticism that I had. It's not frustrating because I know I can do it. But, just a matter of time to show it off.
And working without the scheme, you have to work on your technique and stuff like that on the side, because in the game you're doing something different. In the league, it's all about scheme. What were you able to do at Michigan State to work on your game to where, hey, I can work on my technique while I'm working within the scheme at the pro level?
Just different type of schemes we got it there, like in third down packages. We had I'm on the edge, and like first and second down, I'm right over center, so I'm like at the nose guard. So just playing different positions, showing that I got the ability to do play all 4 spots down the D line.
Where you saw the biggest jump in your game from your freshman year to now?
I got a bit more sacks as the years got older, so I was able to get after the quarterback a little better.
Today's game, you always got to be able to do more than one thing. You're able to get off the ball really well. You're able to drop in coverage really well. How important is that versatility for you? And do you think you're one of the more versatile linemen in this class?
I think it's definitely important to be versatile. I was always taught to play more than one position, so I definitely think I'm one of the more versatile dudes in this class because I done played in the 4-3 and the 3-4, so that just definitely shows my versatility.
When you look at dropping in the coverage, now you're not asked to be dropped in cover man, but just dropping in zone, how much did that take getting used to being a little bit unfamiliar when you probably got there to where you were more comfortable by the time you left?
Well, so like I did a little coverage drops in high school or whatever, so like I always practice it, like I was always doing linebacker drills, DB drills, so it really wasn't that hard to transition. The hardest thing about it was just me coming back from my injuries, just to get my ankles right and keep my feet chopping all the time in coverage.
When you look at when you got to Ole Miss to where you are now, what growth did you see in your game, and where were you able to work on your game the most?
I seen growth in like every aspect of my game, to be honest, because like coming down south was like a whole different animal for me, you know. So I got to play against the best competition and all of that, and it just felt good doing it. So I always wanted to improve my game.
And working on your game outside of what the scheme requires you to do. So how challenging is that, and is that something that you kind of embrace as you went along?
I definitely embrace it because I'm always embracing a new challenge, you know. And I gotta play with a chip on my shoulder, being from the Bronx. So I just always gotta improve my game.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm based out of New York City, and when I moved up there, I moved from New Orleans to New York. And so now I'm like, okay, I didn't realize how good the high school football talent was up there. How special of a place is that? And do you guys feel like you're underrated high school-wise, football playing-wise? Everybody knows basketball, but no one talks about football up there in New York.
Exactly. I definitely feel like we underrated because we got some dogs out there, and it's like you're gonna find the dominant dust every time you go out there. So it's just like you just gotta come looking for us, you know. We play football too.
Good morning, Chase.
Chase, how important is it stopping the run, and how much pride do you take in playing a run as a defensive end?
Well, you know, that's the first thing me and Coach Jay go over is stopping the run. And, you know, to be a complete player, you know, you got to be able to stop the run. And not just worry about, you know, rushing the passer all the time.
Do you think people underrate your ability to stop the run and play the run?
You know, I ain't really worried about it. You know, I'm gonna show it. You know, hopefully, God willing, on Sundays one day I'm gonna show, you know, what I can do.
Jordan, you're one of those guys that those linebackers that I like. Man, you guys look to hit. You don't see that often, guys nowadays in this passing era, but you actually are aggressive but under control. Where does that aggressiveness come from, and how are you able to play with that way while also being able to maintain control?
Just something that started at a young age, just, you know, playing that linebacker, my position. I think you just got to be aggressive playing that position, you know, being the quarterback of that defense. And the way we was taught, you know, to play the position was always be aggressive and be under control at the same time. So that's why you see that in a lot of my play.
Because it's interesting because people look at the Big 12 and say, oh, the guys don't play defense. But when you watch you play and watch your teammates, like, no, they out there flying around the football, getting good run fits, they're playing the pass really well, you get drops well in your zone. How you been able to work on your game while playing in the Big 12, but also getting better defensively as far as stopping the run is concerned?
Yeah, this is something that we emphasize, you know, coming into the season. You know, stop the run first. And, you know, something that we did in practice all through spring ball, all through fall camp, and I think it paid off during the season as far as stopping the run.
Where do you think you're being underrated right now as a prospect, and what part of your game do you feel like, hey, people need to start talking about this part more than what I also do as far as athleticism?
Pass coverage. Just this last season, we had a new scheme. I wasn't asked a lot, you know, to do a lot of pass coverage. So a lot of people think I'm not able to cover or whatever. I think that's a part of my game that I'm fairly good at. I don't get no credit for it.
Well, it's interesting because you are playing in the Big 12. You think they would understand that first before the run part?
Exactly. You know, it's a pass-happy league, but we got a lot to do with the quarterback. What's it mean to just have I had to be the spy a lot, and a lot of defensive calls that we had. So that was the reason.
Cam, where do you feel as though you saw the biggest growth in your game over the course of your career at Charlotte?
I would really say finishing blocks and maintaining blocks. Starting early, I was only about 265 pounds and working on it 295 this season. Definitely finishing blocks, and then the leadership aspect as well.
How much of that finishing blocks part is about attitude and want to, or much about technique?
It's all about want to. I feel like that's what separates me from a lot of guys in this draft is just want to, and the way that I finish my blocks, the way that I play, the way that I practice. So I feel like that's one of the reasons that I'm here.
What do you feel like you've seen the biggest growth in your game while at Boyd?
I'd definitely say like speed and physicality. You know, when I came in, I was kind of a little guy. I wasn't really that strong, and fortunately for me, I had Coach Jeff Pittman there to increase my strength and my durability on the field, and I think that really helped out throughout my college career.
What do you feel like you're being underrated as a prospect, or what's the most underrated part about your game?
I just say my athleticism. People don't think I'm as fast or as strong as I really am, and we'll see about that on Friday.
I can play multiple positions on the offensive line. I'll be there for them every single day. So that's my message, and I feel like that's a good one to sell.
Ben, if someone wasn't familiar with your game, what game would you point to and say, hey, check this one out because this has everything that you need to know about what I bring to the table?
I would say the Iowa or Michigan State game from this year. I felt like, as a unit, we did a good job controlling the line of scrimmage there, especially in that Michigan State game. We ran the ball really well. But personally, I felt like those are some games I was really able to finish and dominate the line of scrimmage. And it was one of those games you had a really good feeling knowing you helped the team come out of it. So.
You're a defensive weapon, man. I don't think people understand how you are able to flip the field position. I've done Georgetown games at the broadcast, and watching you just flip the field position has been outstanding. Do you consider yourself a defensive weapon, and how much pride you take in being a big part of playing defense on special teams?
Yeah, the punt is probably the first play of defense. You can kind of think of it that way. So any way you can help the team. If you pin them back far, the chances of them scoring are so much less. So, just looking at statistics too. If you're also pinned back, it's probably a little bit of confidence shake up for the offense of the other team. So, definitely a big thing that I like to focus on. Definitely a big help too. If I pin someone back deep, it makes me feel real good. Definitely help out the defense. Everyone's all excited about it. So, always good.
Everybody always goes through practice, position by position, but you guys and kickers tend to have that isolated by yourself time.
Yeah.
How do you get better? Not really competing with anyone else but yourself.
Yeah, so it's a lot of just knowing how to use your time wisely. You can't really just waste time, try to be efficient with what you're doing. Also, you can't punt 80 times in a day. You just can't do it. So, knowing when you're actually going to punt, making sure you're properly warm and ready to go for that. Practicing your drops a lot on the side, footwork, things like that. Just a lot of the small things where you don't have to kick a ball for it, but it makes a big difference.
Now, final question for me is, you were there long enough, so you were under Coach Susan at first. You guys had the coaching change.
Yep.
So he was a great coach, and he talked glowingly about you and the Bucknell program. So how special a place is Bucknell?
Bucknell is a very special place for me. Spending a half decade there, it's a little long for some people there, but it's been unbelievable there so far. I have a couple classes left. I'm finishing up right now, but last 5 years I'm extremely grateful for, and for all my coaches I've had in the past. Coach Susan was a big reason I went to that school in the first place. Always had a connection with him, so can't thank him enough, and can't thank the coaches I have now enough too. Everybody's been a great help for me. Good spot, and they're definitely going to help you out there.
I used to return punts, and I know the type of punts I hated. I hated the ones that hung in the air. The ones that turned over and over in, cool, I could judge this like a kickoff. Do you study punt returners, the type of returners they have success with, the type they struggle with, and how do you incorporate that into your game?
Yes, you can definitely tell. Some people like tracking the ball back. Some people stand really far back and like going forward. So it's kind of interesting, and you can kind of tell, people always like going this way on the return or that way on the return. So just being able to counter that, I think, is definitely a big option for us, and something that we always look at in the special teams room.
Building on what you talked about with the SEC and how talented it is.
Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Building on how you talked about the SEC and how it helped prepare you for the NFL, but you guys along that offensive line have been excellent. You're one of three guys that are here, or three guys that are pro prospects. Can you explain a little bit more about the development that went on at Missouri to help develop you guys across the board as pro prospects?
with me, Tristan, I'm guessing you're talking about Trevor. Coming in the same class, I actually came in a semester after they did, but just watching us grow. Like me and Tristan used to be like third string in the back of the O-line room, like when I first came, and it's crazy just of the development over the years and years. With Coach Ellaby being our coach when we first got there, and Coach Davis being there and developing us as offensive linemen. It was great. Being able to from where we came from when we first came in to now is unbelievable.
You guys paved the way in the run game, leading the conference and leading the league, the nation in rushing. How much pride do you guys take in the run game at UL?
We take it's serious around there. I think we take it really serious. We put it on our back. We want to run the football. We want to be field school. We call ourselves the bullies. That's the mentality we go into every game. We think we got a really good line. That's not just the starting five. That's the backup five, and so on and so forth. We got really good backs. So we approach the game. We're ready to bully. We want to bully people.
How much you guys work together? Because it's usually that unison that works. The backs need that line. That line needs the backs to really read things right. The fact that you guys ran right side a lot was outstanding.
Yeah, I think we use each other a lot. I mean, just because the backs make us look good sometimes make the backs look good. So we work well off each other. It depends. Like those guys are so good they can make a play. If we block it well. If we block it okay, they make a play. We block it really good to touchdown.
Did you major in the zones?
You talked about that game against Baylor. I thought that was your best game when you went out there go toe to toe with the defensive end.
I did, yeah.
And so we talk about that game. People think Tech is terms of finesse, but you went out there and played an aggressive game from start to finish on both sides of the offense.
Yeah, no, the whole team did. If you go back and watch the game, we really handed it to them. Baylor was, probably top 2 teams in the Big 12 at that point. Actually, throughout the whole season, but. That was the first time actually playing in Baylor too, so that was kind of cool. I think everyone was pretty excited for that. But if you go back and watch the game, man, we all offense, defense, special teams, we all took it to them, man. We kind of got cheated out of that game, but it is what it is. It was a cool experience, though.
Would you say that's a game that you would direct people to go watch and say, hey, this tells you everything you need to know about what I bring to the table?
Yeah, exactly. No, I thought I played pretty well in that game. That and OU, I'd go watch those two.
Game, so that's what I just decided to do that.
Alex, you're the big pro prospect coming from South Carolina. We talked at the Senior Bowl, but there's 2 other guys there. In Burrows, the receiver, and also McKeever, the defensive line. How good are those guys as prospects at South Carolina State?
Demontrez Burrows. I feel like he's definitely going to be the next guy that's going to get I feel like he definitely should get a tryout workout coming in because he didn't lead the conference, but he was one of those top receiver guys out there. And my boy Paul, he's an athletic guy for his size. He's very productive, has a good little motor. But I feel like those guys definitely gonna be the next ones.
And following next year, who else we're gonna be talking about coming from the Bulldogs?
Ooh, next year probably the other D lineman, Rod Perry. I'm trying to think of a lot of guys. We got a pretty good little linebacker, Chad Gilchrist. So we got some pretty good guys.
How are you able to get better without getting the reps when you first got there and getting better on the side, but when you got the reps, it showed the work that you put in?
This game is all about mental reps. Being able to mentally get those things done. My freshman year was a huge learning curve, but I was able to learn from Darius Geis and Darrell Williams, and ultimately Nick Brossette. Those were the 3 guys that I was behind. And even the things at practice, I was getting. They were critiquing me on things, and they weren't even in the drill that I was in. My sophomore year, I was able to get some quality touches, and then I touched the ball in some real intense games my sophomore year. So ultimately, everything was behind the scenes as far as my growth, especially this past summer and the summer before. I kind of hound in on the things that I needed to work on, from film study all the way into in-game adjustments was something that I prided myself on.
I think people underestimate your ability as a pass protector. Is that something that you worked on behind the scenes as well? Because running backs, they get a bad rep as far as blocking, but it's all about knowing who to block as opposed to being able to.
Yeah, being able to identify who you need to block that's the number one key always. Understanding displacement of the O-line and understanding who's the O-line working up to.
those things in that nature. But you know, when you watch film, 85% of our offense was 5-man protection. So I was rarely in it, but it's something that my T-Rob, my running backs coach, and ultimately Kevin Falk, we talked about it and we worked on it. It was something that we did every day at practice. Wasn't always in the game, but practice film and being able to get those reps against the linebackers that we played against, Jacob Phillips and Patrick Queen, and those guys who still at LSU currently, we did pass pro every day. So it was something that I worked on every day.
DeAndre, you do a great job of anticipating, and it comes from your work and preparation for the opponent. What goes into a week of work to help you go out there on game day and make it look so easy?
A lot of film study. A lot of film study on defense, seeing what defensive tendencies are, looking at linebackers, looking at safety rotation, seeing tendencies, looking at demeanor when people blitz. A lot of stuff that goes into it so you can be ready on Saturdays. A lot of treatment as well to make sure you're ready for your body.
Criminally underrated portion of your game is the ability to catch passes. What type of work did you put in during the offseason to make that happen?
A lot. I would work out. When everybody left, I would come back and at like 1 or 2 in the morning, have somebody with me throw me balls, and I would stay after practice every day to catch about 50 to 100 balls every day. Just so when I was putting in positions, I would always catch the ball.
People always focus on your speed, but I think underrated toughness you have running inside as well. Can you speak about how you've been able to develop that and you want to dispel some of those myths about your game?
Yeah, a lot of guys see me as a speed guy, but I feel like that's not the only thing to my game. I feel like I'm very tough in between the tackles. I never really let one man bring me down, and just me being the decisive runner, making one cut and making a decision. Those are the things I have in my attributes as being a running back. So when people look at me, I just don't want people to look at me being explosive. I mean, that is a thing, the number one thing when you think about me as a running back, I think is myself. But at the end of the day, I got a lot of stuff that to my game, and I feel like one of those things is toughness.
What was the biggest growth you saw in your game from when you came out of high school to where you are now?
I say pass protection. Pass protection is something that I really had to work on. Beach just playing football my whole life, and it's something that I really harped on, and it's something that my coaches always told me that I had to work on for the next level. And when I first got into college, it wasn't really that well, but I learned to, just to work on it and practice on it. And I feel like me leaving college, I've gotten way better than when I was before coming in.
How much of that do you think is knowing who to block as opposed to actually getting out there and blocking?
It's just all about knowing your assignment, knowing what you're doing, knowing the blitz pickups, knowing who's coming, knowing who's not, knowing when to get out on your routes. Like all that thing comes together. So there was things like that was confusing me. It would be like sometimes I'll have a block and he wouldn't come, and then I'll stay in. So it's just little things like that, being a student of the game.
Pittsburgh, the last game I played this year.
Do you feel like your receiving skill is underrated?
Sorry, one more time.
Do you feel like your receiving skills are underrated?
I don't feel like they're underrated. Once again, that's an opinion. I don't really focus too much on what outside media has to, say about my game. I know what I can do and what I bring to the table. And I would say that opinion comes from lack of opportunity, not lack of skill. When I've had the opportunity to catch the ball, I've done the best of my ability to do that, and done it at a high level. And made those yards after the catch, made tough catches. We're just a run-heavy offense, and that's just how we play.
You see the backers bossed over to the left, you have a good idea that if you press the line of scrimmage long enough that you'll be able to get that backside cut. So a little bit is really knowing the scheme.
Patience is something that you have to develop. 9 times out of 10 is something that takes a little bit of time. You had it initially as a freshman and you still had it throughout your career. How were you able to develop that patience as a runner to where you're able to maximize your explosiveness once you hit the open lane?
Really, I think it's being able to trust the guys in front of you, guys like Tyler, guys like Erdman, guys like Logan Bruss, being able to trust that they're going to be able to get up to the next level. They're going to be able to move that guy out the way. So really, it's just that trust between you and the guys up front.
Devin, how much of your blocking do you feel like is being underrated about your game?
I definitely think it's something that needs to be looked at a little more. But I think over the draft process, over the little process, over the past 2 months, I think coaches started to take notice and they look at my film and everything. So I think it's starting to be looked at a little more different.
Do you think like the part of blocking that people don't really understand is mostly about knowing who to block and technique as opposed to actually just driving guys off the ball?
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like sometimes, it definitely is when they look by other people, but I think the right people know this for sure.
I'd say I'm not exactly sure which teams he'll be with though yet.
How beneficial was it to play at Virginia Tech, and how did that help in developing your game as a pro prospect?
Oh, that was huge for me, especially, going in as a freshman and being able to make an impact right away. I started 38 out of 39 games, so I got a ton of experience there. That was huge for me. I mean, I got some great coaching. I can't say enough good things about my time there.
You spoke about being a complete player. Do you think because you played at Cincinnati and that offense you guys run, that kind of helped cultivate that and kind of develop your game as a pro prospect?
Yeah, for sure. I think our offense, the great thing about it uses the tight end a lot. So obviously that helps me. So we didn't run necessarily a pro-style offense, but I think it helped me the way I was used, kind of that move-around guy. It helps me to kind of preach in the league that, I didn't play traditional fullback, but I'm able to do that as well, fitting up on linebackers, things like that. So the way we ran our offense definitely helped me with catching balls and also the blocking side of it as well.
How much of that do you feel is, okay, we don't do much of it, but outside of what we do, I have to continue to work on my game? How do you get better without, confined to the offense? Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's always room for improvement, but those things kind of correlate. I did a little bit of it at the Senior Bowl, so I'm kind of used to the verbiage as well as the timing. I think the timing is a big thing, just getting used to all of that. But it all correlates. There's
a lot of people don't know how great you are as a route runner. Can you talk about how your receiving skills kind of correlate to tight end and what makes you that much of a threat at that position?
So getting recruited, I played receiver throughout my whole college career. So when it came for me to play tight end, it was just natural. And I don't think defensive ends and linebackers are used to tight ends running routes like that. So me coming from wide receiver, I feel like I had a big up hand on all of that.
Yeah, effort and want to is usually what it takes to block, and I think you do a great job on that aspect. Was that something that you had to learn to be consistent with when you got to LSU and moved to that position?
I feel like that's all in your heart, man. It depends on what type of heart you got, and I feel like it's either you grew up with it or you just don't have it. And I'm the type of guy that had adversity growing up, and I always just wanted to go out there and compete every single day. So even when I'm playing tight end, if I'm just willing to block, then that's just another thing I can get better at.
That we call that having that dog mentality, and you talk about that. A lot of guys have it. Is that something that you innately have to have, and if you don't, can you bring that out of somebody that may not have it?
I mean, I feel like you can maybe. I feel like they always have that guy in the back that just have that talent, but just need that little pull to get it out of them. As a leader, you got to find that in your teammates, and you got to find that in individuals and see what they can do and what they can't do. So when you pull that dog out of somebody, you really can see what they can do for sure.
And over the course of your career, what do you feel as though you had the biggest growth in your game?
I feel like just willing to block, I guess. Tight end, I bought in when Coach Brady came in during the spring, and he asked me to play the position. And when I bought in, I was all for it. So I feel like blocking is something that I really improved on for sure.
Oh, it's loud. How y'all doing today?
How about you, man?
Doing good.
How important is it for you to show that you can play outside as well as on the inside?
Very important. Me being a smaller receiver, being very versatile is probably the main thing teams want to see. I primarily play in the slot, but I will play anywhere they need me to play.
Is there something unique about playing inside as opposed to playing outside from a technical standpoint?
I think from an inside standpoint, you can go. It's a two-way go at all times. So sometimes it's harder to do that when outside, but that's why we work on techniques and certain releases just to get yourself open and get a better release off the line.
And what do you feel as though your game is being underrated right now?
Just because of my size, I'm light. I'm a small guy, but my quickness, my agility, my dog mentality, and just being a playmaker. So I get that a lot. I've been underdog my whole life, so just going out there and proving something.
Some people say the 1 year starting experience is a negative. I look at it as an upside. Right. Where do you stand on it, and how do you view playing 1 year, seeing that you have a lot of tools to work with?
Right. I mean, it's a small sample size, but I think that's all the better for the NFL. I mean, a lot to work with. We had all young receivers this year with Steve Carlson and Jesper Horsted leaving last year. So one season, had a lot of success, but definitely looking to improve on areas that I slowed down at the end of the year, and can't wait for them.
Now you guys have become tight end you, quarterback you as well.
Right.
How about playing at Princeton, getting cultivated and developed that help you get here as a pro prospect?
I think it's the culture in the quarterback room. We've had 3 different coordinators while I was there for 4 years, but the culture never changed. It was always be better today. And the past quarterback coach, Mark Rosenbaum, we had some really good kind of values in our quarterback room that continue to help us strive and get better throughout the season.
And you talk about playing at the Ivy League level. Over the last, 5 years, more guys from the Ivy League are in the NFL now.
Exactly.
How great is the talent there, and where do you see that talent continue to grow as you now lead?
Yeah, I think it's just an incredible league. People are starting to figure it out, and this is something that my mentor, Josh Johnson, told me when I was in high school. It's like, go to a place where you're going to be challenged as a person, where you're going to grow as an individual, and at the end of the day, if you're good enough at football, the NFL is going to find you no matter where you are. So, yeah, there's no red shirts there, so that's why I kind of only had 1 year to start, was behind some great players. But the great players aren't stopping. They're continuing to pour in that league, and I think it's going to be some impressive football over the years.
I feel like we got similar body types, and it's just smooth. I like his game. That's pretty much what I like. I want to be compared to
One of the things that you guys do really well is 3 of you guys, you, your cousin, and also Amir, the receiver. Wide receiver you looks like right now in Rhode Island. How special is the place in Rhode Island? Because Coach Sliman does a great job in not only bringing you guys in, but also developing you guys into pro prospects.
I feel like he surrounded us with a good staff. Coach Vonner, our receivers coach, taught us a lot of fundamentals. He started us from ground up. I feel like he got us in the film room. He prepared us. And then you guys had to practice hard. I feel like we just took that. We motivated each other. We stayed in the summer. You guys kind of quarterbacks together. Got everything in sync. So I feel like that's pretty much how we succeeded. So just working hard, putting our head down, expecting the best.
And you talked about AJ Green. That's the guy I compared your game to because of that quiet dog mentality. Being able to play with balance and being able to make catches, not caring who's around you. How do you develop that? Is that something that somebody that doesn't have it can develop, or is that something that's just innate?
I kind of pretty much always been like laid back, kind of calm. At this point, when it comes to football, it's like taking this next step. You gotta go get it. It's either you or the next man. So I feel like if it's there, I gotta get smiles. I gotta have it. And I'm gonna be humble, but I'm not gonna be rah-rah in your face. I'm not that type of guy. I kind of let my play do the talking. So I feel like you kind of. I feel like I was born with it, but if you get it over time, that can happen as well.
I watched the Virginia Tech game, and people were shocked at how competitive you guys were. But you guys played in the CAA. How does playing in the CAA kind of help prepare you guys to play that upper level and also prepare you for the pros?
The CAA, that's a tough conference. You never go in knowing that you're going to blow this team out because everybody's tough, everybody's good, everybody's well coached. And they got great defenses in the CAA, so just going in, and they press a lot. The Tech pressed a lot, and I feel like just having to beat the press every week and face good corners every week, I feel like that.
They're trying to get to know you, trying to get gauge your understanding of football. Do you love the game, that sort of thing. So, but I have met with them. It's been good.
Jake, based off the way your career has gone, what would you say is the biggest thing football taught you?
I mean, just the ability to persevere. Life isn't perfect, not for anybody. Football or just regular life, a 9-to-5 job. Not everything's gonna go as you plan it. You can try to plan things out and map things out. To be perfect, but it's not always going to go that way. And so you're going to go through tribulations and just the ability to keep fighting and keep coming back. And again, not to be cliche, but it's not about getting knocked down. It's how you get back up and how you respond. And so
I've definitely, just like most of these guys, they all have a story, they all have a journey. I've had my share of getting knocked down, but I just keep getting back up, I keep fighting, and I think that that's something that will help me in this process. I think teams will see that, they'll know that I have the ability to see I'm a fighter.
I feel like you guys are a sleeping giant out there in Corvallis. How special is that place at Oregon State, that program?
It's a beautiful, beautiful place, awesome program. The fan support down there is amazing. I think Jonathan Smith's doing a great job. He's going to turn that around. I think we proved it this year. We kind of got the ball rolling. Would have liked to get a few more wins than we got, but just to make the strides that we did, and they have a lot of great guys in that system. I think they'll kind of keep taking that next stride, and I'm excited to see them work.
What is it about your versatility that people don't understand, being able to play inside or out?
I mean, just that I can play every single position. I can even be a stand-up Y, and I can make all those plays from those different spots.
There's something about having a sense of timing. When your team needs the big play, you seem to step up and make that play. What goes into that, and how are you able to rise to the occasion when many tend to fall?
Yeah, so I just tell my team, hey guys, we're gonna, I like to tell them that we're gonna make this play and just hold up, Keaton throw a good ball, and I'll take care of the rest. So it's just kind of like that.
So you had 100 catches.
Everyone always want to talk about your speed, you being a speed guy, but you're pretty tough over the middle of the field. How much of toughness is involved in your game, more so than speed?
It's involved a lot, because majority of the open field is in the middle of the field. So if you get into the middle of the field, then you can work, you can bounce back outside and try to use my speed and try to beat defenders.
A lot of guys don't understand when you talk about having that dog mentality. Certain guys, you just see it and you're you're right, this dude got that dog in him. Is it something you develop, or is it something you just have innate?
I think I developed that, because coming from nothing, it just put that chip on your shoulder and just make you want to work hard, beat everybody in your position, and try to come out on top.
What do you feel as though right now your game is being underrated?
My catching, my ball skills.
Because you play a big man's game despite being shorter, lighter. People just assume that you are only able to catch certain passes. Is that something you constantly take pride in when you get out there on the field?
Yeah, I take pride in it a lot, because people don't see what I do with my hands. They only look at my speed and everything else, but my hands come with it. I got to catch the ball first in order to use my speed. So I think that's going to be a very good thing.
Hakeem, everyone talks about having that dog mentality, but you actually play with it down in, down out. What preparation goes into the week to where it seems like you everywhere on game day?
It's really just knowing my assignment, knowing what the coach is want from me, and the preparation throughout the week. That's the way I practice, trying to be conditioned to where I don't have to come off the field. I can just play at the level I want to play at, and just really give them all for my teammates.
One thing we always talk about at football game plan is that size is not a skill. Everyone focuses on 215, but you're playing like you're 240 as far as what you bring to the table. Do you feel as though that mindset of just playing aggressive kind of supersedes any type of weight, whatever people talk about?
This really coming out of high school. I was 170, so I always had that underdog mentality where I was small, but I wanted to play big. I wanted to show guys that the size didn't matter to me. Hit guys in the mouth. Just really play hard. Just really like that line coming out of the cage on game day. So I just turned into a different mindset once the lights cut on.
And people underrate the Sun Belt Conference. Yeah. I know for a fact I was running back there. How good is the Sun Belt, and how beneficial was it playing in that conference week in, week out?
I think it's a pretty good conference. I think we should get more credit than what we do. With the American League and things like that, I think that we can compete with those guys. Every year we end up upsetting a Power 5 school. So App State competes with some top teams in the nation. So I think we should get more credit than what we do.
How much of your Shrine Bowl experience kind of propelled you into what you're going to go out there and showcase here at the Combine? Because I thought you had a really good week of work down there in front of everybody.
I feel like throughout the whole week, in my mind, I was preparing myself to put on a show so I could make it to this point. And I believe that a majority of that, pretty much the whole thing that I put on tape was why I'm here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't give Conference USA the credit it deserves as far as like how good you guys are defensively. What was it about playing in that conference that kind of helped prepare you for this opportunity?
Each and every week, you got to go out there and really dominate. Like, not being in one of the Power 5 conferences, like, it's easy to get overlooked with average numbers. So, I mean, you got to really do something to wow people so you can get this opportunity.
Up front nowadays, everyone is scheme diverse, so techniques are really out the window. You can play anywhere across the front. What about your versatility do you bring to the table that teams tend to enjoy?
I think the number one thing is that I've played everywhere from a 2 to a wide 9. So, I mean, I'm very useful to a team, and having that kind of versatility is definitely something that a team would love to have, in my opinion.
Final question, coming from that North Texas program, very good, underrated program. A lot of defensive linemen have come from that university. How special of a place is North Texas?
North Texas, man, that's a very special place, man. It's a lot of great people that come from there. Like, the most notable person is me and Joe Green, one of our Hall of Fame guys, and there's definitely some great things to be shown from North Texas.
Especially coming from a small school in the Sun Belt, I really had a lot of doubters, and I just want to go out there and just, perform to the best of my abilities.
Now, you guys did a great job running the football with the Cajuns, man, and the fact that you guys went that deep in the backfield, behind that offensive line, how special was the run game this year and this season as a whole at UL?
This season was special, especially for the seniors, man. We came in together, for the past 3 years, we struggled. But with coaches changing and everything, so in the last 2 years, we really got after everybody, and just to see all the hard work and everything paying off, and especially to my old linemen. I give all the credit to those guys. Those guys do all the dirty work. And the running backs, we just try to find the holes and make the exciting runs. But I also want to give a shout out to the receivers, for blocking on the back end and everything like that. So all that stuff just goes a long way.
Now, guys know you fast, but there's a lot of other elements about your game that people may not be familiar with. What do you feel as though you're still being underrated as a runner?
As far as like running inside, running in between tackles, and also catching the ball in the backfield. I think a lot of people just think I like to run the ball outside, and that's just not me. I like running inside zone and outside zone.
That's a part of, I think, playing a running back position people don't understand. The fastest way between point A and point B is straight ahead. How many of your big runs actually came from inside as opposed to coming from outside?
To be honest, I think every single one of them. I had a 92-yard run touchdown, came inside. I had an 80-yard touchdown, came inside. 60-yarders, everything was all inside zone. So I don't like, I'm not shy of running in between the tackles.
Jalen, what do you feel as though
you're good today?
Good, man. What do you feel as though your game is being underappreciated right now?
Well, first off, I just want to say express the appreciation of being here and being around these great players and being able to meet these great clubs. Give a special thank you to my parents along this long journey of just being able to come here. They raised me to be the man I am today, so I'm very appreciative of it.
Hey, Jalen, when you see the year that guys like Lamar Jackson had and Tyler Murray, I think that was helping in terms of the way you get
I think the approach for me is just trying to get better every day. I don't think I don't put a ceiling on this, my ability in terms of how great I can be. So I'm definitely a student of the game. I've been able to adjust to all the different coaches I've been a part of. So for me, it's just about taking steps every day and just trying to be the best I can be. I do think that those guys have done great, and I think that they've been very dynamic at the position at that level, and I'm looking forward to how I can do that as well.
Just talk about the strides that you have made from when you were at Alabama to Oklahoma. Talk about how you were able to show a little bit more as a passer.
Yeah, I think every year it's kind of leveled up, right? You talk about just taking steps every year, kind of taking coaching from all these different coaches and being able to use that as an asset. You know, I think I do have a unique perspective on that because I've been a part of so many great offensive minds, 6 different coaches in my college career, and they've all been very pivotal in my development as a quarterback, and I hold that in high regards.
And then your poise, just talking about the Baylor game, that's one where it comes to mind. And then your performance when you were at Alabama, just how are you able to stay level-headed?
Right, so I mean, it's like for me, I have values that will never change, right? Regardless of whatever the situation is, whatever's going on, those things will never change. And I try and never get too high or low. Just keep the main thing, and keep it rolling, you know? It comes down to winning ball games, and I just try and go out there and do that.
How you been able to just jump right into be able to go from different systems, getting those guys ready to go? Those guys been in that system for a long time. You jump in the spring and be able to pick it up right away.
I think it's something that's, I mean, it's all kind of been unprecedented. You know, you talk about just being able to go there without any time underneath that system this year and put my name in the same area as the last 2 first overall picks and Heisman winners. So to be there and even to be at Alabama and kind of be able to cement myself, you know, in history at both schools and be a part of those prestigious programs, it's been very special. But it's all about moving forward. So.
Have you talked to Kyler at all about?
Coach, why was it important to add teachers to your staff more so than any other staff I've seen in the league?
We don't have cheerleaders at the Giants either, from what I understand, so we weren't looking at them in the coaches' offices. The teaching part to me is critical. That's all you're doing. You're teaching. You know, you're teaching them what the opponent does. You're teaching them what our scheme is. You're teaching them the technique they have to use. You know, we've got to look at ourselves as a staff, as a profession, is we're teaching. That's what we're doing on a daily basis. You know, you put a hat and a whistle on, your classroom starts inside and continues outside onto the grass on a daily basis. You know, the test is taken every Sunday. We have to make sure that, you know, we don't mistake what we're doing. You know, we want to motivate along the way, but it's teaching and instruction that's the most important thing.
Joe, when